Hello and welcome to the Ask the Industry podcast. For those of you new to the show, I'm comedian Simon Caine, and this is the podcast where I interview the most influential people from the worlds of stand-up, comedy, radio, and today, online content. Chris Evans, not that one, is the founder of GoFaster Stripe, which is an online distribution and content creation studio that distributes and makes DVDs of comedians that, quote-unquote, he likes. It is one of those little hidden gems of the British comedy scene, and I found that a lot of non-UK based comedians haven't heard of it. So I think you're in for a treat for a podcast that's about a group of inspiring DIY content creators who have shown what can be done when you just want to make something that you want to exist, and in turn, hopefully turn over a profit in the long run. If you're anything like me, you've just got back from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and you perform so much comedy that you hate your own material and the concept of laughter. And I'm hoping this one will get some people back on the horse and inspire them to start a new project or get something that they've always wanted to exist. That's the way I felt about listening to this one anyway. Before I hit play on the podcast, I am about to go on tour with my second solo hour. This month I have dates in Cambridge, Norwich, Manchester, Bristol, Bath, and a bunch of them. There's a lot of dates. I've sort of gone all out this year on the tour. Please check my website, which is linked in the show notes, or go to my website by typing in simoncaine.co.uk into your browser of choice, and you can find if I'm coming to a venue near you. Any way you can support me would be great, but particularly coming to see me live would help my career immeasurably. So please do consider doing that, and if you can't do that, please do consider telling a friend who is in a city nearby where I am coming. I've just done the show 25 consecutive days in a row, and I am really happy with how tight it is as a performance piece and how I've sort of grown into the material a bit more by doing it so many times in such a short space of time. So I can't wait to take it around the country if I'm honest, but in order to do that I need people to come and judge and watch me. So maybe in that order, maybe the other way around, I'm not sure. But either way, if you could come down, please do. If you do, come say hi. It's actually always a pleasure to meet people who listen to the podcast. And to be honest with you, I've not had a bad experience yet with that. Everyone's been absolutely lovely and really welcoming. So please, please, please come say hi. I'm pretty friendly I'm pretty friendly and socially awkward, but that's a different issue. So please just come say hi. That'd be really nice. That's enough of the shameless plug, to be honest with you. If you are new here, please do hit the subscribe button. If you're old here, please do leave us an honest review on iTunes. And either way, please do consider sharing this episode with someone who you think will get some value out of it. But for now, this is Chris Evans.
Okay, well, if you've never heard of GoFaster Stripe, it's me and a group of pals that like recording stand-up comedy and then selling it on the internet.
That's actually the most succinct way you could put it.
That's what we do.
I heard you were a baby clothing company.
Oh, well, actually, that is true. When I first had a baby, which he is now 16, so 16 years ago, more or less, I didn't like the baby clothes that you could get, and a friend of mine drew on some blank baby grows, just drew stuff that she thought would be funny. And I thought you should be able to buy these, so we got some made and attempted to sell them, but no one else felt the same. But what we did have from that was I kind of found out how e-commerce worked, and meant that I could hit the ground running a bit quicker when GoFaster Stripe started. So I had the core, I had all the programs I needed. I'd done all the research into how you can sell things and get money off people, and that sort of business I already knew. Right.
And on your website, you say that you sell. I'm paraphrasing this completely, but essentially you sell DVDs from people who maybe wouldn't have got a DVD contract from the mainstream,
right? Or
want to avoid the censorship of the mainstream.
That's true. I think that's probably less now, because I suppose less people are making DVDs. People are buying less DVDs. Because I think some of the people we have are more mainstream acts, but I still like to keep non-mainstream acts. It's anyone I like, really. That's the watershed you have to cross. If usually I've seen someone in a club or something, and I thought, well, that's very good, and then I might go and see their show, and then I'll ask them.
Okay, so it's not. I don't want to say a dictatorship, but it's essentially you saying, I'm going to sell what I like.
It is a dictatorship, yeah. It's mostly me asking people. And that's...
Yeah, do you always ask before you record?
That's it. Yeah, of course, yeah. It is usually me. Now, people do email in with suggestions every now and again, and I look at those, and it's... some of the camera people will say something like, oh, I saw this guy, but I'll always go and see him first. So it's probably a dictatorship. Yeah, although the ideas will come from all areas. But it's not the ideas, is it? It's just the people. It's going to festivals and seeing people that you wouldn't have usually seen.
Well, in terms of, if we start with the first half of that description of what GoFaster does.
Yeah.
If, for example, as you said, people are buying less DVDs, there's less of a market there for that. So if someone at Universal or To Entertain or wherever has judged comedian X, we won't name anyone, but say comedian X as non-commercially viable because they can't, sell enough of that DVD or whatever.
Right.
How do you justify we can actually do that?
Oh, well, I don't look at the commercial aspect at all. It's not even in the equation. It's just if it's a good show, then I'll ask them. So I'll ask people who are... I'm always surprised about how famous or not famous people are, or how easy it is to sell out a gig or not sell out a gig. I've got no idea when I arrive at a show if it's going to be full or if it's good. I mean, I kind of know about where I'm going to see if it's going to be 2,000 people or 50 people, but I've got no idea before I buy the tickets how popular they are. So that's, it's not in the equation at all, being commercially, because you can't tell. I mean, it's like double guessing. Well, look, I can't tell. You can't double guess how well someone's going to sell. I think To Entertain and Universal are very good at guessing how well someone's going to sell, but I've got no idea.
I assume every time you take on there must be a fear element for you then, as well as an excitement element, every time you take on a new show or a new podcast or whatever, because it's your job. I assume full time, that's what you do. So you're basically risking your career every time, no?
Well, no. I mean, if it not that expensive to record, and I've got a buffer. I mean, if I had like 10 in a row that didn't sell, I would be a little bit sweating then. But it's not frightening. It's more exciting. I think there's a group of people who like to buy everything I do, so I'm in a real strong position there. That I know pretty much everything I do is going to break even if it's going to take 4 or 5 years for it to break even. And it's the quality of the acts, I think, the quality of the people I record comes through eventually, even if not many people know when I'm starting. And it's not the case for everyone, of course. Some people are kind of well known even when I'm recording them, so they're going to go all right. So I suppose unwittingly maybe I'm doing some that'll sell well and some that won't sell so well. But they all kind of come out right in the end.
And in terms of censorship then, your website quite proudly proclaims that you don't censor anyone, and every comedian I've spoken to who's done a recording with you has said he's never said you can't say anything or you can't do anything. What interests me about that is if it's someone you like, and so it's intrinsically your sense of humour, are you finding that that's helpful or unhelpful? Because obviously that means there's a specific, even with like sort of niche comedians or indie comedians, there's a specific type of comedy you're selling.
Yes.
So obviously it's kind of more of a bespoke store for someone who has that kind of humour. Like you said, someone will buy everything, but then obviously that might turn off a lot of people.
It might do, yeah. I mean, censorship wouldn't even come into the equation either. I wouldn't dream of asking someone to change anything about their act, really, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's not like... I can understand why people do it. If it was going on, for example, if it was going on TV, then you're kind of being broadcast into people's houses and invited almost. So then I can kind of see a reason for it then. But for us, you're welcomed into people's houses. You're going there on purpose. So you want to have the act as it should be. So that's why there isn't censorship. What was the other part of your question?
It's just about how are you finding building that audience for your personal brand.
Yes. You're right. It is a niche. It's niche. Yeah, there's no question. There is. That is what it is. It's a reasonably broad nook that I've carved out. I think it's all people that I like. So it's all people with a kind of, I think, would have a good heart, and people who have something to say beyond the jokes that they're making. It's the sort of stuff I like seeing, and there are enough. When I go to see stuff where there are 1,000 people there's enough people to make it worthwhile. I don't think this would have been possible before the internet, of course. Without the, let's say, 5,000 people who share the similar attitude to comedy to me, that consuming it. I mean, because I'd be buying the stuff that I'm making if I wasn't making it. So I'd be part of this gang of people that like the same stuff that I like. And without the internet bringing all those people together, then this wouldn't have been feasible. You couldn't have done this in the 80s. You'd have to probably go for people who would sell, who would have commercial viability. Whereas now, as long as you've got a good enough, as long as your act is good, then that's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with that. I know a lot of my friends who are maybe struggling or starting to kind of look into the internet as a distribution model are sort of a bit more wary of it. And I suppose, I mean, that brings me on quite neatly to the fact that all your stuff is DRM free, which I assume means, I mean, the thing is, I'm torn on whether to ask this, because from my logic, if I downloaded something from your site and then I've got it DRM free, I wouldn't have any urge to put it online. Like, I wouldn't want to upload it. But then I could imagine other people who do get it, who maybe see it as, I'm just putting up a preview for that, so people can find more about that comedian, or wouldn't it be great if more people could see this comedian because they're less hidden away. So I mean, do you find piracy is quite a problem given the way you sell stuff?
A little bit, but not nearly as much as I think the mainstream do. I think that group of 5,000 people I was talking about, they're all right. So very rarely do I find like there's a full show put on YouTube, and sometimes people put little clips on. I don't really mind that, because that is kind of doing what you said. That is bringing the comedian out to a bigger audience, which is good. It's what I want as well, but it's not kind of spoiling the show. So I don't do anything about smaller clips. But once you get to kind of the 15-minute level, then I do. And YouTube are very good at taking down videos, but it doesn't happen very much. And it happens for like a bigger name like Stewart Lee. His shows tend to get put up a little bit. But then I noticed there was one forum, because you can see links. If someone links from my site, from a piracy site into my site, you can see that in the what do you call it? It's not browsing history.
Analytics.
The analytics of the site, yes. So I went and I read this page, and it was people arguing this exact point, whereas a pirate was going, I'm just sharing it for everyone, as we do. That's what we do. This is a piracy website. And then other people saying, well, actually, this is just a tiny operation, and piracy could kill this, whereas piracy probably won't kill your Hollywood blockbusters. So it's self-regulating. It's a self-policing thing. And there was a great thing that happened, I think, in that a Russian group of pirates, let's call them, downloaded a load of Richard Herring DVDs and revoiced them in Russian and then re-uploaded them. And I thought, this is really good. I don't think I've got a copy of the YouTube video of this Russian guy, and he really goes for it. He's not like a dry translation. He's really kind of powerfully going through the performance, and I think it's hilarious and adds something to the show. And I haven't done it yet, but I've always meant to put that as an extra. Next time we do one of Richard's DVDs, I shall try and put that on.
That'd be cool.
So sometimes it adds, is what I'm saying. So it rarely takes away. And I think if people were just sharing everything, if one person bought a copyright-free or DRM-free file and shared it, that would be dead in the water. But that doesn't seem to happen.
The thing I find really interesting is I think the people who are most scared of the pirates don't need to be. Like I feel like at the indie level anyway. I mean, I do free or pay what you want show, so like a $5 or whatever. And generally speaking, when someone's seen me a couple of times, they'll buy a ticket because they want to make sure they have a chair, not because they wouldn't donate more or whatever. They just want to make sure they can come in. And I remember getting an email from someone the other day saying, I booked a ticket. I always give you $5 anyway. It doesn't make sense not to. And it was like a weird moment where I was like, oh, this is working now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's only one person that's ever. Right. I mean, obviously, I know other people are doing it, but it was just nice to get that email where I was like, oh, you're acknowledging that you're coming for free normally, and I feel like free's got such a bad reputation now, especially because of the mainstream's perception of it, and. Yeah, it must be nice that your connection with your fan base or with your 5,000 people is so strong that they almost don't want you to go under. They're sort of employees.
Nice.
Yeah.
It almost feels like I'm treating people like grown-ups, because you can.
What's that like?
You can put protection on these files, right? But then it's a pain in the arse, and I'm furious about the way that you can pay like £10 to download something, and then it's not yours really. It's like, you can only use it on this computer or this system, or you can't burn it onto a CD. It's mine now. I can do what I want with it. So by doing that, by treating everyone like grown-ups, here it is. It is, you can if you want to, but please don't. And people don't seem to be.
No, that's cool. And how are you? So your 5,000 is like sort of your rough. I assume that's not an exact number.
I just made it up.
Yeah. How are you expanding that audience for your? Because obviously a lot of your performers have their own little audience or their own little communities around them. How are you expanding the GoFaster community?
Well, I'm not actively trying to do that.
Okay.
My marketing, I don't know if you've ever. I'm very poor at marketing. So that I thought, if I put everything into making the DVDs or the shows as good as I can, then it'll kind of market itself. That people will hopefully get to hear about what I'm doing. And if you can get someone who buys a DVD by one comedian they like, then they might think, oh, this is good. Let's go and have a look at other comedians on the same site. And maybe stuff will grow from there. But that's the only thing I'm doing really, is trying to keep stuff coming out as often as I can and making it as good as I can.
And in terms of pricing stuff, everything seems pretty uniform in terms of it from your website.
Yes.
Except for when you're having like sales on random things. Is that set by you or by the comedian? Like, how much autonomy does a comedian get over that?
Well, actually, the comedians do have they can pretty much say what they want, and I usually go with whatever they want to do. But generally speaking, for pricing, no one ever says anything. It's like, let's just go with whatever we usually do. And it used to be £10, and then it had to go up to 12 when I became VAT registered, and it was a big day. And I thought, I don't know, £10 is a beautiful price for things. But it won't work if everyone is paying £2 less than they're paying now. It's only just about working now. So we went to 12 and it was fine. There was not a hiccup. And then occasionally we have a double disc release, which costs more than twice as much as a single disc to make. So I had to put the price up a little bit. So those tend to be £15. But no one's mentioned that or said anything about it. So that must be okay as well.
What's nice?
It seems all right.
Yeah, exactly. What's nice is the transparency of yours, because I think with someone like 2 Entertain, for example, I don't know why I'm picking on them, they're just the only ones that come into mind, but with someone like them, if I downloaded illegally, let's say Jack Whitehall's DVD, right, I don't know how much that's actually impacting him, because in my head of it, he just gets a lump sum and there's no like fee there. So to my mind, it's like, well, he's already been paid, they're already covering their costs, he's got enough fans, it doesn't really matter. I haven't, by the way, so I just point that out if you're listening, Jack.
It's up to you.
It's not. I've watched you on YouTube instead. But but with you, it feels very much like you're, like you said, treating people like adults, which I think comes with a certain level of respect on both sides.
Yes.
And for that relationship to work, which I think is why GoFaster is doing well, perceivably from my end anyway, so well, is that you're like you said, you are one of your own fans in a weird way.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love the stuff we do, and I love, as I say, I would definitely be buying the stuff I put out if it wasn't me.
Fair enough.
I didn't get the question there, did I? I've said that again.
That's all right. What do you think of streaming services? So like Netflix has made a real big push into buying up hours, and I know Next Up has just sort of launched. And where are you sort of sitting in that area?
I think it's all good. I think that's how people are buying stuff now. Because I've started off and I'm an old man, I like physical things in my hand. And I like to know when I bought a thing, I've got it and it's on the shelf and I can always get hold of it and play it. Now, you youngsters have grown up differently to this. My kids aren't interested in a physical object. It's get lost, Grandad. Where's we just need the bits. The bits just need to stream into the devices. So it's a way of getting bits into your devices without having to use the postman. So I'm absolutely fine with it. And it seems to be, Netflix is doing really well, isn't it?
It's doing all right.
So it's a good way to do it. And I have Netflix, so I look at the shows that are on there, and it's the modern way. I think there's something for me. I always like the physical thing, but I also try and embrace the new ways of doing things.
That was oddly enough going to be my next question, because I wondered if you had demographic information on your quote unquote 5,000, because in my head I perceive them to be a bit older than me,
right?
Even though it's a digital download, because like you said, it's a it depends. Do you find there's a bigger split between younger people downloading the digital file and older people buying the physical?
I don't know.
You don't?
I don't know. I don't take their ages.
Oh, okay.
I very rarely meet people, and they are. Well,
I just meant in general in life.
We did a stall at the Machynlleth Comedy Festival last year, and met some people then, I would say they were all a little bit younger than me. Probably a little bit, I'd say mid-30s were the sort of people that were saying hello to me. But it was such a small group. It was maybe kind of 10 people came up and said hello and said, we buy your stuff. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know if it's an illusion or whether it's just based on my perception on it. But like you said, I think my demographic would download, whereas yours would physically buy. And I wondered whether having you as the sort of, I don't want to say like spokesman for the brand, or like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You being a slightly older person means that you'd sort of be able to bring back in the sort of core audience of people that like to buy a physical thing in a way that maybe, you know, a big mainstream label wouldn't, because they'll sort of be like, charging 30 quid. I don't know why they're charging.
Right. Well, I try and make the things as nice as I can. You know, the DVD, the stuff I like to put on. I like to put on a lot of extras. I like to hide things on the disc, but that's just for fun, really. But that, I think, might make it more worth owning rather than a download where you'll get. I mean, I try and put the downloads. I try and put all the extras on as well, but often there'll be like a little 30-second something funny happening just before we started filming, which doesn't really fit anywhere. You wouldn't download a 30-second long clip. It's so putting those on the DVD is a bit of fun, and having the menus, you know, attractive, I suppose. So I do try and put as much into that as I can, but then I've always done that. It's not a reaction to downloads taking off, and we have downloads as well. And you can stream from our site, which I don't know. I don't keep the data on how much this is used. Someone might email in and say, "Can we? Would be better if we could download this file?" Yeah, all right, we'll try that. Here's the thing we're doing this time. This is the next DVD that I'm doing is going to have the download file on the DVD as well as the DVD video. I might have to say that again. I haven't got a proper name for it yet. So it's when you put the disc into a player, it'll work as a normal DVD player, but you could put it into a computer and there'll be an extra file on there, an MP4 file, which then you can play in a slightly higher resolution.
Okay, so like 4K or something?
Not even close to 4K.
Okay.
It's a bit less than 2.
Okay, fair enough.
But it looks a little bit nicer if you've seen it on a big screen.
Yeah.
And it's the exact file that you get if you were downloading, if you pay for the download. So I thought I'd try that and see if that might be useful to people to have that.
Yeah. This might be incorrect, but I heard the story of the start of GoFaster was you wanted to buy one of Stewart Lee's shows, and you couldn't, but you wanted like to have a memory of it. You wanted to keep that with you. I wonder whether, or what your thoughts are on recorded shows versus live, and what GoFaster do that try and either make it as immersive as possible so it feels more like you're in the room, or whether you specifically go out of your way to make it is a DVD, you're not watching it live. Well,
it's better live in a room, there's no question. This is just you're like a ghost in the room when you're watching a DVD. But having said that, we do try and make it feel like you just could have a seat in the place. There's a couple of specific things I do, which is on Stewart Lee's. So it's an extra joke. If you can put extra jokes in that you couldn't get in a room, so maybe you'll have a bit of backstage chat, or a bit of immediately after the show chat with the comedian, something you wouldn't get if you were there, or while the show's on. Sometime for Stewart Lee's one, for example, we showed people who weren't enjoying themselves, so it's like an extra laugh that you got by watching the DVD that you wouldn't have got in the room unless you kind of noticed. There's a specific lady who looks like she's having a really bad time, but at the end of the show she came over and said how much she was enjoying herself, but she didn't move. She looked like she was furious. And we've just put it in a rough cut, and everyone laughed at that point, which wasn't a point in Stu's show. It was the cut made people laugh because we put this woman on. So there's that you can do, but overall it's much better to see it live.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm biased, but I would agree with
that. But you can't see the things live. There's certain things you cannot now see perform live anymore. You know, the shows that we've got are not performed. So so it's the best you're going to get.
So it's you're trying to. I mean, I wouldn't say you're trying to do this, but maybe you would. You're trying to make a historical memory of.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's just happened by chance. It is just me recording shows that I would like to listen to again. Stu's show was very dense, so I remember coming out of that and thinking, well, I can't wait to listen to that again, and couldn't. So that's what's set this whole thing in motion. So there's dense shows you can listen to over and over. What was your point again? See, this is why I'm bad at doing this. I can't remember enough things. I'm always in awe of the people on Question Time, even if I hate their guts.
It's all right.
Because they'll say, right, there's 3 things I need to say about that question, and go through them.
I'm just going to edit it so there's like awkward pauses.
Please.
Like I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
So it's like the audio version of what...
Stu was saying difficult stuff, right? And it was hard to listen to, and it was almost like a breath of relief to say, oh, look, there's this woman isn't happy with that.
It's not the only one.
So the other thing I do is I don't like putting shots of the audience in.
Okay.
I do sometimes, but and if someone is involved in the show, we do. But I'd rather not have the audience involved, because if you're at a show, you're looking straight ahead, and you'd only look at someone if they're involved in some way. You wouldn't be looking at the row to see if anyone else is laughing. You just be enjoying it for yourself. Yeah. So I do that as well.
Yeah, it sounds like very much you're scratching your own itch. Like, do you know what I mean?
That is exactly the situation.
Yeah, because it feels like even down to the extras, you're sort of saying, "Oh, I'd love to have seen that," and almost thinking about what value you would have from this additional content.
Yeah. I mean, I know this won't play to your age group at all, but I used to make tapes for people, like C90 mixtapes. They were great in the 80s.
You mean a playlist on a Spotify?
Well, what you could do, you see, different from your modern playlist, is that you could put little bits of nonsense in between the songs. I could put a little bit of radio or a little sound effect or something, and that's what I used to do when I was making C90s, just for the car or for friends or something. So that sensibility, I think, has taken over, that you could see like a cassette that someone had bought from the shops, which just had one album on, whereas a cassette, so it looks like the same physical size, but there's loads more on a tape that I would do, that every little last second of it had something on. And if there was only a 30-second bit at the end of side B, I'd find something that would fit 30 seconds that would sound good. So it's the same as that, really. It feels like making a mixtape for someone.
I understand that, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I make YouTube videos.
Yeah. And
in almost all of them, in fact, in every one of the ones I've made in the last 2 years, there's something in it that, like, I know probably no one will ever notice, but it's just for me.
Yeah.
And it's always, and like at one point I was carrying around, I won't say what it was because I don't want people knowing what it was, but I was carrying something around and I always put it in the background of like a shot I was doing, so that I wondered if anyone would eventually realise that for some reason at every gig that's there, and like no one's commented, so they might have done, but they've just been like, what's the fucking point? But it's just in every green room, it's just I won't say where it is, but it's just behind me. Right. And I really like that, because I'm sort of like, it meant I had to like carry it to Ireland, like I had to carry it around, and for me that's really amusing, because it meant in the edit I was like sitting there watching, going, oh, that's quite nice. But it's I suppose that's sort of the more modern version of that in a weird way. Yeah.
It's great hiding little things.
Yeah,
I like looking back and forgetting that I've done it.
Yes.
And I go, oh yeah, that was good, didn't I?
Well, I reread How I Escaped My Certain Fate, that book by Stu. I can call him Stu, why not? He's never going to hear this. But I wrote my own version of that for my first hour, because I was trying to analyse how it's going. And I remember as I was like writing it, going, oh, I did put that in just for me. And it was such a weird moment where you're like, yeah, no one. That's why no one laughed, because I found it funny at the start.
Well, that's fine. And you need to do that. You need to keep the thing going.
Yeah.
More as a performer, I think, than the likes of me.
Yeah.
I think you need to kind of make sure that you're enjoying every bit of it. Yeah. So the audience still do.
Yeah, I think the hard part, I mean, I don't know if you have this for the recordings. I mean, I don't know. Do you do one recording, or do you do like several and edit it together?
Depends. Sometimes we do 2.
Okay.
We don't do more than 2. Sometimes we do 2 and cut them together. Generally speaking, there's a good one and a bad one, or not good. You know, there's a clear winner when we do 2. Sometimes if we're only doing 1, and the adrenaline of the fact there's only 1 will make it even better than a combination of 2. So it just depends. Just this year we've done some that have 2 and some that are 1. Sometimes it's tiring to do 2. If the shows are 2 hours long, then that's like a day's work that you're on stage for. You know, it's an incredible thing to do, and generally speaking the second show is rubbish because the person's knackered. But it's nice sometimes to give us the joy of if it's expensive to set up, then we know that we've got another version of that. But then it kind of takes away from the live aspect a bit if we edit too much. So it's a grey area, and we do both. Generally speaking, if the comedian wants to do 2, we will, and it makes them a little bit less nervous if they've got a safety net of another show coming up. But really, it's best if something is important and is messed up in the recording, you can just say the word again, and the people in the room like it, and we get an extra from it. You know, we get a what do you call the cut out?
Oh,
a blooper reel.
Blooper reel,
yeah, if you will. So we get that. So it's kind of better, I think, if we did it just in one show. But we still do two sometimes. If it's like a technical show where things can go wrong, I would be much more comfortable doing two.
Yeah.
But if it's just a man talking, which, you know, they're mostly just someone on stage talking, then just go through. Because the likes of you're really good at keeping the room together. So if something goes off the rail, then
using that as a quote.
If the show goes off the rails, or if someone's shouting something, or if, you know, the place goes on fire, whatever it is, that's the show. Then that becomes what the show is.
Yeah, of course.
So we've had some, on paper, disastrous shows but the full shows are amazing, because if props are forgotten, then there's a whole bit which now doesn't work as planned, but we've got a whole brand new bit that's actually happening live. So I love it when those things happen, and I will always argue to keep those bits in. Sometimes we don't, because it'll spoil a joke coming up later on, or it'll spoil a thread. But if it doesn't, if it's more like a live show, then we leave them.
No, I wondered, because you said it was, well, relatively cheap to make one.
Yes.
And I wondered if, like, you knew how much it cost, because I think a lot of performers who are trying to, especially a lot of sort of newer comedians who are like sort of trying to immortalise their debut hour. Yeah. I think a lot of, I mean, I did it as well. I was very much like, this is amazing, this is the best thing ever, and now I'm like, it's great, but I'm better, you know. But a lot of them are putting them up on YouTube, and I know that there's a lot of sort of indie people who are doing a lot of recordings and stuff, and I think the perception is that that's quite expensive to do, and I think as much as, you know, you get what you pay for when you hire someone, I wondered, like, what would a recording cost you to do?
Oh, well, it is, again, how long's a piece of string, you know, and how much money you want to put into each bit. First one we did cost us nothing, actually, because I had friends doing it for free. All the cameras the camera operators were all doing it for free. I had to pay to hire the room, but then we kept all the ticket money. Stu did it for nothing. Stu was our first one, so Stu did it for nothing. And we had money left over. We paid to hire the cameras, and I think that was it. We hired the room and the cameras, and everyone else was doing it for free. And then I shared out the money. Everyone that kind of gave their time, apart from me and Stu, everyone else, I shared out. But I think they got £87 each. So it's not even that bad, is it? For a night out, and doing me a favour. And then from then on, I thought, I'm going to pay everyone properly. So I pay everyone like decent rates. So probably, if you want a number, I would say you can get a good show for about £5,000, I think, which kind of puts, compared with a normal show, you know, if Two Entertainment were recording the show, their budget would be way higher than that. But on the other side of the coin, you could do it for a lot cheaper. You could do it for nothing if you've got some mates that will work the cameras from you, and if you're prepared to put all the ticket money into hiring decent equipment. I would say that getting a decent sound is more important than getting decent images, I think. So if you just had, you know, £300, I would give that to a sound engineer to record the sound properly and to mix it for you afterwards. And then if you've got a little bit more money, then get a professional cameraman in. You've already hired decent equipment. That's how we did it. That's how we started.
Yeah, in my experience, people are a lot more forgiving on video than sound.
Yeah.
Which sounds really weird, especially when you're buying a DVD. But ultimately, your brain can kind of fill in that bit that kind of didn't go, or that wasn't as lit as well, or whatever. Whereas if they can't hear it, they're definitely not going to enjoy it.
You're not going to get the joke if you can't hear. You have to hear every word.
Yeah.
And the audience can't be too loud, but they've got to be there a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a delicate balance, but that is where I'd spend my first £300, if you like, if I was you know, starting off and doing my first one.
If you were starting again now, that's where you would.
Yeah. And that's what we did do, actually. You know, that's what we hired in. We had 3 cameras. This is a poor thing. I don't recommend this. We had 3 cameras. We recorded Stu twice, and we moved the cameras in between the 2 shows, which was stupid. But, you know, you don't know when you start, do you? Luckily for us, Stu is very precise. So we could cut between the 2 shows. In fact, we did cut between the 2 shows, and we more or less got we got the show as was performed, because he was kind of so on the button for each of the lines. But if it was somebody else, if it was Tony Law, not a chance. That would have been we'd have to throw it away. Tony Law, there's no point recording him twice, because that show is so different.
Yeah.
Once is what you need for him. So yeah, don't move the cameras around in between two shows if you're going to do that, and get as many cameras as you can.
So I did 2 records of my DVD of my first hour, and the first record I got a mate who said, I've just bought a really great camera. It's like a Canon 60D or something. It was like a really amazing one, and literally about 3 minutes in, he picks up the tripod and moves it, and I was like, we're only doing one camera. I wanted it one camera, one shot, like literally no other thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, no, but it's because he can still see you on the... And I was like, I don't want it to feel like you've got up and moved seats halfway through. So that's why I had to do it twice, just literally because the camera was moved for about 20 seconds. So yeah, I would agree with your professional...
Well, it's not. It's just from experience, isn't it? And I would have a locked off shot somewhere out right at the back, so you could cover that movement. When I feel I've got a few kind of poor quality cameras now, state of the art maybe 15 years ago, and occasionally I'm asked to record stuff on in Chapter Art Centre across the road, or nativity plays in my kids' school, and I take these 2 cameras and it's fine. It's I have a Zoom recorder that I put quite close to the stage so I can pick up the kids' voices, and I have a locked off wide shot somewhere at the back of the room on the kind of rubbish camcorder, like just a standard camcorder you would have got 15 years ago. And then I've got a not now a good camera, but 15 years ago, a reasonably good camera, where I get the close-up shots, and I can cut between those 2, and it looks fine, and it's free.
yeah, exactly. In terms of podcasting, because that's something that a lot of the people that a number of people that you do records for give away for free. Yeah, and obviously there's extras they can buy, or they can buy passes and things. How do you find the conversion rate is from people that are listening to free to people that just want to sort of either buy a badge or buy a pass, or what's kind of that?
Again, I don't really look too much at how many people are watching or listening. The main Richard Herring is the guy that makes the most podcasts that we're involved with, and he releases them as audio and video files. So I've got no idea how the audio does. The videos do fine. We have a reasonable number of people who are contributing to it, and it's enough to keep everything afloat. So that's really all I'm interested in. We tried lots of different ways of getting money off people for this free stuff, and I think our first idea was rubbish in that we were charging people for them. We gave away the audio for free and charged for the video, and that just about paid for itself. So that was okay, but I've found a much better way of doing it was to put everything out for free and then ask for money afterwards. So we've got a badge scheme where people can buy badges off us, and that works fine. And there's a way of doing it where you don't even get a badge, and more people do that.
Oh, so they just donate £1 a month or something, and they don't even take a badge?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
To get a badge costs us about 2 months' money, to make it and to send it out.
Right.
So we do, and the PayPal fees are killer. So we don't get any money really until someone subscribed for 3 months. Right. But the ones that don't take a badge, so they're great. They're my favourite ones. No, I don't mind at all. It's nice to have a badge. I tell you what's nice is seeing people wearing them out and about. Yeah. I love that. So I don't know. So you're asking for the conversion rates. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but enough people are doing it to make it worthwhile. We've always said that if you can't afford it, it just doesn't matter. Yeah. But if you can afford it, give us a little bit. Yeah. Or give us a little bit for a little bit of time. Or there's ways where there's loads of different things you can do. You can give us a lump sum, and then that's it. Or we try and get people. If you've given us £1 a month, that is the golden people, I think. So there's odd little bits and bobs. You can get extras. You can download extra videos. And Rich does a what do you call it? A raffle once a month. So everyone that's got a badge gets entered into this raffle automatically, like they used to do with premium bonds, or maybe they still do with premium bonds. I don't have premium bonds anymore, but I remember being excited by it when I was little. Yeah, they do. They used to do it. Oh, they still do it. So that's the idea with that. So we give them a little bit back, but not very much. Most of the Most of the stuff we create is now given away for free, which means the audience is bigger. But how many have actually paid for it? I don't know, and I don't care.
Do you find that has led to more sales of the DVDs though?
No.
Okay.
But I think DVD sales are going down because no one's really buying them anymore.
Well, no, even download. No, so are the download numbers going down as in like the DVD downloads? Not.
I see what you mean. Then two of them together. No, it's probably about the same.
Okay.
As it ever was. So it might be that we'd have lost people if we weren't keeping Rich's name up. But I think his DVDs are different to his podcast stuff. I don't think there's any. There might well be correlation. I don't look at this. I'd much rather than looking at a spreadsheet or those analytics we were talking about, I'd rather just get and edit the next show.
No, I understand that.
The next show, so I don't really look at it, and it's because it's all working. It almost feels like the machine's working, and I'm not really sure how it's working. So I don't want to get involved with it too much. And I'm realising as I'm saying that's the opposite of what you want me to say now, isn't it? You want to know how it works, and I'll tell you the bits I don't understand. But I don't look at how many people are listening to how many people buy a badge.
I've just bought the domain name, Go Slower Square. And I'm just thinking about starting my own.
Oh, but useful. But I expect people who listen to this to find useful things. Hopefully, there's enough of the things I do know.
Well, I think anyone who would be listening to this episode would be interested in, first of all, releasing their own online content or their own online show. And say, for example, they couldn't get on GoFaster or they couldn't get on Next Up or whatever. They would want to either find a way of making it seen by the most number of people, or find a way of getting the money back on the investment of the original. Because I think that's what puts a lot of people off making a show. And it sounds like you sort of take the hit for that for the.
Well, we charge for seats.
Okay.
That was what we did the first time. Is we charged for people to come, and then all that money went to the recording. And then you pull in mates, I suppose. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Luckily, I knew two professional cameramen. One was working for Sport for BBC Wales, so he filmed a lot of the rugby, which was absolutely ideal for a comedian because there's rules about where the ball's going to go in sport, so you kind of know where it's going to be, but you don't know what's going to happen. So rarely do the cameramen see the show before we do it. So that was lucky, I suppose, that I knew him. And the other guy works in London for like chat shows and things.
Okay.
So it's a much more, exactly what's going to happen, and he starts a bit more. But the two of them together had all the skills that we needed. So that's why I suppose we hit the ground running a little bit, just by chance, they were prepared to come and spend an evening with me and Stu just to see what would happen.
I suppose it also helped that the thing is I'm torn on this point because I think a lot of comedians think Stu is very sort of this hidden gem, and I would debate that at this point he's actually become a bit more known outside of his normal sort of bubble of cult following. And so I think when you started, it was probably quite useful for you to be like an indie producer for someone who, in the nicest possible way, does hark on about the good old days of sort of selling stuff out of the back of the thing and driving around the country. It sort of fit in nicely with the two of you.
Yeah.
And I mean, could you have seen it working as well if it wasn't as incongruous with what you were doing and who you are?
Well, I don't know. I think everything just evolved naturally. So I think Stu became that sort of selling stuff out the back of a van guy because he had our stuff to sell out of the back of his van. And I didn't know there was a van involved. I wrote him an email saying, I think this should be released now, please. And I've got some mates that were prepared to take it on. I think we were very lucky that Stu's star rose almost as soon as we recorded that thing, which meant that we had the money then to take the risks on other and our second one was Richard Herring, right? So I knew that would be about the same. And then we did Simon Munnery straight after that. So really, we kind of hit the ground rolling. Hit the ball running, whatever that phrase is. We did early doors. We did very well with kind of comedians that the likes of me and a load of other people like me liked. So, but the fact that 90s comedians sold so well meant that it didn't matter what I did. I had money coming in from that I was working. I had a job as well, so I didn't need this money. I didn't want it. I didn't want to take the money. I wanted to spend all of that recording other people. I thought, well, if this this DVD is amazing. The Richard Herring one we did next, that was amazing. And I can't remember how I got up the courage to ask Simon Munry, but I remember thinking, it would be great if Simon Munry had a DVD. I think I must have asked Stu to email him or something. But then we had Simon Munry, so we had, without really any idea what was going on, we had these amazing DVDs made.
Did you? Because you'd never worked in comedy or any kind of anywhere near the end. You were just a fan at this point. So did you find there was any, I don't want to say industry backlash, but any element to which industry kind of went, hang on, what are they doing? Like, what's going on?
No. I've never noticed anything.
Okay. No, because I could imagine if, at the time when you were doing it, DVDs were much more sort of popular, or like this was sort of, 5...
That's true, but we're so small that the people who are... We don't sell very many, and I suppose a big industry are only after big money things. But
the comedians you've recorded, even those first three, are quite big names then. Even,
yes.
So I think I couldn't imagine them not taking notice or not.
They might have noticed.
Yeah.
No one ever said anything.
Okay.
No, that's not true. One guy from one of these big places, 2 Entertainer, Universal, or someone like that, emailed me to say that he was sorry that he'd... there was a sort of contract that was around at the time, and may still be, where you'd ask kind of 10 up-and-coming comedians, you'd sign them to a kind of handcuffs clause, which would say that we'll give you a little bit of money now, and if we choose, we'll make a DVD with you in 2 years' time, or something like that. And this guy's job was to go around and find good people and sign them into this. Now, there was enough money to think, oh, brilliant, that's free money, isn't it? But it meant that I couldn't record with some of the people I was asking because they had this kind of handcuffs deal. And I didn't really know what was going on, and he emailed to say sorry for doing it.
Because he wanted you to do them?
I don't know, it came over like he felt a bit guilty about, this handcuffs thing to stop people making DVDs. It was just to make money, right? So the idea was that one of those 10 or 20 comedians would become Peter Kay famous, and then you've got them. Right, you can make a DVD with them, and there's no need for extra negotiation. So he just felt a bit bad about that business practice, I suppose, or the fact that he was not even the cog of it. He was the one that was going out and finding the people. That was his job, to go to comedy nights and find people to handcuff them. That was the only thing I can remember having from the industry, and that was ages ago.
Hang on, so I'm just getting this right in my head. So it doesn't matter who their name is, but their job was to go out to comedy clubs, scout for talent, sign them to a contract that would say, hypothetically, in 2 years, if you're big enough, we'll give you a DVD.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because like that shows potential, but that's also like, you do the work and we'll take the money.
Yeah.
That's really odd to me.
Well, I don't know if it still works like that.
No.
I'd be surprised if it did still work like that, actually.
I could see it being if you were a person with agent X, you're like a really big agent, them saying something like, if we can get your profile up enough, we'll record we'll put out your debut out or something like that. But I couldn't imagine it being so, because you said it's because they signed up like 10 and only one of those 10 would get the, that would weird me out, that I'm like competing against.
It might not be, maybe they got John Bishop and Peter Kay in that 10.
Yeah.
So then they've got 2, or maybe all of them.
Yeah.
But I think it was the handcuffs nature of it he was feeling guilty about.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. But to me, the element to that, it's not manipulative. It's I'm trying to think of the word. Do you know what I mean? It's very clinical, and it looks at them. I feel like from the way you talk and from the way you operate, you're just mates with a comedian, and you think, well, we'll record the show, and it's very personable. Whereas that other attitude feels very clinical and business.
Yeah, it is business-like. I mean, that's why they've got more money than me. They're focused on that, and there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, really. I know I don't like the handcuffs aspect of it at all, but everything else seems all right, doesn't it? If you're going to sell a load of DVDs, you're better off going with a mainstream guy, because they'll be in Tesco's, and they'll have big billboards advertising you, and I won't do any of those things. Not because I've got anything against billboards, I just don't know how to go about it, or I wouldn't have the budget to start risking. If we recorded someone and said, right, let's have big billboard adverts or massive things in Edinburgh, or try and get them into Tesco's, and if that fails, that's it, I'm out of business.
Right.
Whereas this way of doing it, all I've got is just a load of, I want to have as many good shows as I can available to people who find me.
Yeah, makes sense. And how, well, I was going to say how are people finding you, but you've kind of, I mean, I assume it's mostly referrals from the community.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone will have a newsletter.
Yeah.
Or will tweet about stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they come that way, I suppose.
Do you find the longer the content's out, the more it will just work out viable because it's just, once you've made it, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some things... There's usually... For the likes of Richard Herring, he's got quite a big online following. So when his DVD comes out, there's usually like an explosion of me packing up DVDs here on this table. But for maybe someone who doesn't have such a big mailing list, then they kind of dribble out a little bit slower. But it doesn't matter. I mean, they're all here.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's easier for me if they go slower, because then I'd rather pack up 10 DVDs a day than have to take a day away from everything else to pack up maybe 500 people will order Richard Herring's DVD all on the same day.
I presume you prefer a digital download because there's less work in that for you. Cause
there is less work in that. I'm in two minds about the whole digital download thing, because it's nice to have a physical thing. I've got a few DVDs or a few shows that are just download, and because I never look at the analytics, I don't see them going out thinking, oh, that didn't do very well. But then I'm looking at I can see how many are sold, of course, and I say, oh, well, actually, that has done fine. That's done just as well as the other ones. It's just I'm not physically putting them into envelopes. I'm not noticing how well it's done. It feels more of a connection between me and the person buying the thing if I'm putting it in an envelope and posting it off to them, which is a bit of an old school feeling, isn't it? But I do enjoy that.
Is that important to you, or is it important to the customer?
I don't think the customer would care, and I'm only just realising it's important to me now talking to you about it. I'm trying to get into my mind why I don't like digital, because you're right, it's a lot easier, isn't it? It'll all happen by automatic, and I'll just get money coming into the PayPal account, half to the guy, half to me, and we're done. That is a lot easier. I don't know why I don't like it as much, but I don't.
I make badges for my shows, like that are representations of jokes from it.
Yeah.
And I had someone buy 3 of them the other day, and I had to, put them in a little bag and send them across. And I realised I made a loss on the back because I didn't. I sell them at the end of shows, and obviously for £2 at the end of a show, that works out quite well. But like you said, PayPal fee, an envelope, a stamp, the whole thing, and also my time to find them wherever they were and take them down to the thing. No way I made money on that, right? But it felt really nice because because by the end of putting it all together, I sat down and wrote him a little letter, and I was like, "Oh, thanks for buying these." And he tweeted me it and was like, "Oh, you sent me a thing." Yeah. And for me, that was really nice. Even though I was like, I really hope I didn't retweet it because I was like, if other people do it, it's gonna take I almost don't want to sell them, but at the same token, so I can imagine it's quite nice for you.
It is. Well, you get a process. I've got a process. I've got a set. Labels come out of I've got a special label printer, and labels come out, and my kids will often help if they're here, pack them up, and we all go to the post office together, and I know the people in the post office now. So you get a process. If it's happening, once in the blue moon, when someone was buying baby grows, it would be that. I'd have to go and find an envelope, because it just never happened. And it would be a special thing, and it would take maybe 2 hours of the day to sort out just sending one thing off. Whereas now, I've got a process. I've got a barcode reader for scanning them into the website, which will send an email to the person buying it saying it's on the way. It's all been automated as much as possible. Whereas I'm still the chap putting the stuff in the envelope. So I like the minimal amount of interaction I have.
Does the comedian ever get involved in that? I know you do the odd signed one and stuff, but is it not really?
I got Rich to do it. Rich was here once he happened to call around when I was packing stuff up, and he did help. Okay, but that's very rare.
I just wondered whether they would want to have that connection in terms of.
Well, they have it, don't they? They've got their audiences, so they see the people, they see the little faces, don't they? And a lot of the people I make stuff with will sell stuff after the gig, so they'll meet people that way.
Right.
I liked it when we had that stall I was saying in Machynlleth. It was nice having people come up and say hello, and buy things, and you think, oh, you're going to like that. Or they'll say, oh, I don't really know these people. I like satire or knockabout stuff, and say, well, I think Andy Zaltzman might be the chap for you, or however they talk. If they like radio comedy or I don't know, more visual stuff, then I can recommend. I like that very much. Recommending stuff. You think, I know that person's going to enjoy that. I don't know that. I hope that person's going to enjoy that.
That's all right. I'm going to do the last minute quick fire questions.
All right, yeah.
So they're quick fire for me, but you take as long as you want.
Has this been an hour already?
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Sorry, is I...
No, that's gone past, isn't it?
All right.
It's flown past for me. It's probably different if you're listening.
Hello to your girlfriend again. I don't know the name of.
Joe.
We'll just keep.
Hello, Joe.
Okay, there you go. Hello, Joe.
I'll answer your texts in a minute. They've come in, but I've ignored them.
This is obviously more important.
That's not what I said. I did not say that, Joe. I did not say that.
He told me to edit it out, Joe. He told me to. Gonna have to edit all of that. That's gonna take a fucking. All right, okay.
Sorry.
This.
I was going to say clean edit, but I didn't. Right. Start.
Mine's very DIY, so it'll probably stay in.
Okay.
This one will be interesting. What are the best books on comedy writing or stand-up you've ever read?
Stuart Lee's one that we talked about. I like who's that American chap in the suit? Stephen Martin.
Oh, I'm listening to the audiobooks. Okay. Born Standing Up, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just listening to that.
Did he read them?
He did an audiobook, yeah.
I did not know that.
I literally just got it, and I'm about 4 chapters in. It's really good.
Yeah. Like that. Books on stand-up. That might be the only 2 I've read.
Well, by default, they're the best.
Oh, what would you count Johnny Vegas's one?
I haven't read it.
That is amazing. He reads that.
Okay.
And as different characters, and I think Kevin Eldon's in it as one of his inner voices. It's beautiful and really funny. I'm going to say Johnny Vegas on top of all those other 2 I just said.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called. So it's kind of a biography.
Okay.
It is a biography, but it's more than that. It's the interplay between his character and his onstage persona and his actual life.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Cool. What's the best show you've ever seen?
The best stand-up show?
Well, I keep it vague on purpose, but if you want to do it that way.
Best show I've ever seen. I like... What about Tim Key? Remember that one where he got into the bath?
Is that the Modern Slut or something? Or the...
It had slut in the title somewhere.
Yeah.
I think the staging of that rose it above, and it wasn't a novelty either. It was hilarious all the way through. Must have been extraordinarily difficult and expensive to tour, but I remember being gobsmacked that it was. I just thought I was expecting a stand-up poetry show and got that.
I've never seen it, but I've been told it's very good.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Have you got it up for sale?
No,
damn.
Actually.
I'm pretty sure he's not doing it anymore, that's why. So
no, we didn't get to record that, unfortunately. I would love to.
Okay. I'm going to ask this one on the basis that it might not be... actually, no, I'm not going to ask it. But the question is, normally it's for comedians, this one, because most comedians would bill themselves as a comedian or a writer or whatever.
Right.
But normally their income doesn't necessarily reflect what they would label themselves as.
Okay.
So I was going to say, does yours, but you do this full time, so it's actually really redundant.
Only recently I've been doing this full time.
Oh, okay. How long
have I been doing this full time? I used to do computer programming.
Right.
So and looking after computers in Chapter Art Centre.
Okay.
Which I only did because if you just computer program all the time, your mind goes funny. So it was nice to see people.
Yeah.
And then the computer programming I did was on websites. Mm-hmm. But then that process became automated. So work was going down as luckily people were buying comedy DVDs. So there was a kind of crossover. For years, there was a crossover where I was earning hardly anything as a programmer and more as a DVD man. DVD man?
Yeah.
That's what I could be. And finally, I think the last piece of computer programming work was about 2 years ago. So it was a gentle process. It was really so there was no heartache in it. It was not, I'm going to stop doing this and start doing this. It was a very gentle fade between the two.
How long did it take you then to go full? So is that like...
So about 2 years ago, I've been doing this and nothing else.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing GoFaster?
Oh, crikey. 2005, I think I started.
So it took about a decade to get to...
Yeah.
Well, most comedians would kill for that.
But I wasn't trying though. That's the other thing. Is I just kept on doing what it was like a hobby. And I can't remember the first time I actually took $1,000 out of GoFaster Stripe for my own personal private use. But it was quite the day.
Right.
And I think, I think GoFaster Stripe can afford to pay me a little bit now.
Yeah.
So it was doing it for free, but it wasn't like that. It was like a brilliant hobby. It was the best ever thing. Not only was I kind of going to see Simon Munnery do his show in my local arts centre, I was having a drink with him afterwards, and we were emailing then about how we were going to make it, how the memory of it could then live on. So it was the best ever thing.
Oh, it sounds...
Still is, actually. Yeah. It's just that now I do take money from it regularly.
Well, you need to.
I do need to live.
Yeah, exactly. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made, and how did you get over it?
To do with GoFaster Stripe, it would be, wouldn't it?
Anything.
I've been very lucky. We've made things that have been expensive to produce and haven't sold, but I don't think they're mistakes, really. I mean, they all sell eventually. We did a 10-inch single with Stewart Lee that really was before vinyl had resurged. So that was an expensive mistake. But we sold them all in the end. And so it was all right in the end. I mean, everything's all right in the end, isn't it? Biggest mistake. There's been little wrong turns. Trying to sell the podcast, I think, was a wrong turn. I think it was much better to put them out for free. I'm trying to think of a new thing that we haven't talked about. No, I don't think there's any DVDs I wouldn't make. If I had the option to not make it, I don't think I would have taken that option of anything. I'm just leafing through my memories of filmings. No, even the ones that haven't come out, I think they're fine. Sometimes we film stuff and it doesn't come out. Yeah. Which you could look on as a mistake, but I don't. We wouldn't have known that they wouldn't have come out nicely unless we'd have tried. No, I don't think. Oh, that's terrible, isn't it? Apart from those little things, but I know I've been very lucky to not overreach myself.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest problem in the online element of comedy's industry, and how would you go about solving it?
Crikey. Is this a quick fire round?
Yeah, that's the thing. For me, I said the quick for me.
Shouldn't I?
I said the quick for me. You can take as long as you like.
Online. So, I don't know, I like the fact that YouTube is easy to get hold of and you can put things up on there. I like the way that I think those comedy blaps are good that Channel 4 do, and there's a little equivalent on BBC. I think that's good.
But what's the biggest problem?
I'm trying to think of a problem. Sorry, I'm going through online comedy and I'm trying to think of a thing. I don't. The fact that BBC 3 is online now hasn't affected me at all. I thought I'd be really bothered by it, but that's worked out fine. I thought it would be a problem, but it's not, for me at least. Here's one. I don't like the way that I'll find out about a good Radio 4 series after it's gone. I missed specifically Daphne's Radio 4 series. Just didn't realise it was on, and by the time I did realise it was on, it's gone. So
it's out of iPlayer type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
It's definitely a first world problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say. I don't know. Yeah, I don't like that they only put it on for like a week or something, don't they? So I just yawned halfway through that. Cause
it is
a
boring podcast, I apologise.
Thanks for that, that's very kind of you. No, it's more, I'm just not sleeping very well. Oh, and boring. No, I just that's the thing that really frustrates me about the BBC in particular is A, they don't change the content when it's being consumed on a different medium. So they'll put it on TV and then they'll just put it on iPlayer and it won't change even though I'm watching it closer on my laptop or whatever. It just doesn't feel like they've made... I mean, I understand budget-wise and all that stuff, but that annoys me, and the fact it's only on there for a week. Although, I downloaded some Inside Number 9 the other day, and I can still watch it because I've got it downloaded.
Oh, yes. But I'm saying about if I'm unaware...
Yeah.
I knew about Daphne, and I think I might have even known they had a series coming up, but because I missed... This little window to listen to it. Here's another thing that annoys me about iPlayer. It's mostly amazing, I think. I think iPlayer is amazing. But when you listen to a radio programme and they've got a bit of the news beforehand, it can't be hard to just edit that properly, can it? How long would that take? I mean, I understand it seems to be an automated process because there's different chunks of the news that you get. But I find that first world annoying.
What I love is, so I normally ask someone that question and they've, like if I ask a TV exec that or something, they'll go, it's really annoying you don't get the budget for the show that you're doing. Or if I ask an agent, they go, oh, it's really annoying that this comedian, I tried to get hold of them for months and I couldn't sign them, and they, all this kind of stuff. With you, it's I don't get listened to enough radio.
There must be a thing. So something that I've produced then.
No, honestly, I wasn't mocking. I I like it. It's very endearing. It's more down to earth than I think, because I think it actually sums you up very nicely, because they're much more profit and career orientated, and yours seems to have, like you said, just organically flowed, and so as a result, that would be why that's your... You know what I mean? It almost... in a way, if you'd said to me something like, I really hate how Netflix has started producing, Stu's... whatever, I'd be like... that seems... Yeah, exactly, but it would seem incongruous with the rest of your film.
No, I love it. There's more comedy around. That's what I want. I want there to be more comedy around that isn't just a series of jokes. Is that I think, making jokes is the way to change people's opinions on things.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I don't know if you could change someone's. I think you could challenge an opinion, but I don't know if it would change it.
I think if you're laughing at something, I think there's an intrinsic truth to it.
Right.
So I think that you would, if I'm laughing at something that you've said, I must kind of agree with the statement you're making. I might disagree with the words that you've used. Or, but I'll have the reaction I'm getting to it is probably the one you mean, because you're making me laugh. And sometimes you might say the opposite of what you really mean, and that might be what's making me laugh. But I think that's the way to get ideas out. I think it's a really powerful. I mean, you must know because you're a comedian, aren't you? But I think it's more powerful than my mum thinks. I think comedy is more powerful than my mum thinks it is.
I think comedy's very powerful, but I think the reason it's powerful is because it's so intrinsically linked with someone's sense of self more than. So as a result, you can challenge their idea, but the problem is the only way of following up that change is to have a debate and a conversation. And yes. I don't necessarily think many people leave a comedy show. I think if I did a joke about, I don't know, Trump, let's just pick him for now because he's easy, as always. If I did a joke about Trump and your opinion of him was he's great and I'm taking the piss going, he's rubbish, right? I don't think, and this is no diss to Trump supporters or anything like that, I just don't think someone would leave and then have a discussion about that. They'd go, oh, isn't it funny that he thinks Trump is great? Like, or what was it the other way around? Sorry, he thinks Trump is shit. So I don't know, but that's just my experience of it. I think very few people leave a show going, that challenge, I'm going to follow it through now.
Oh, I do. Oh, I'm not actually challenged on my opinions very much, admittedly, because of the choice of people I go and see.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Yeah. But there'll be, I don't know, Brexit seems to be a big issue now that seems to have divided us as a nation. But I suppose the people who are going to see the shows that I'm going to see aren't the sort of people who have voted differently to the way I voted. I see what you mean. So we need Ant and Dec on Saturday Takeaway to be broaching some of these subjects in a humorous way. That's what needs to happen. You're right. I agree with you.
I've yet to laugh at anything they've done.
I watched it for the first time last week because people were talking about it. I thought, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what this is. So I forced myself to watch it, and I laughed half a dozen times.
You can't tell. I
couldn't believe it because everyone in the room was laughing. My kids were laughing, and I thought, "What the fuck's going on here? I don't know you people." Because they like when I put on my stuff, they're laughing at that as well. I'm thinking that's right, correct to laugh at that. But no, I did as well. Once I got kind of into the way, I think they're good. Ant and Dec, I think they should. Yeah, but I think they should broach weighty topics. That's what they don't do.
Yeah, but it's not good for their brand for them to do that right now. They've worked very hard to become the personable, boys next door, cheeky chappy.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah,
but the world would be a better place if they talked about weighty matters. But if they did it in a funny way, then everyone who's enjoying their knockabout, cheeky chap antics would still be happy.
It doesn't matter to them though.
Well, yeah, maybe they haven't just thought of doing it. They'll probably listen to this.
Well, and or Dec, I don't know. I don't know which. Just maybe I tell you what. If you want to record a stand-up hour of weighty topics mixed with little silly bits, it's Chris at
GoFasterStripe.com.
Yeah, just drop him an email.
Very happy to do that. I've got an Ant and Dec mug here.
Have you really?
I used to. This will be embarrassing. Maybe shouldn't make the thing, but I used to go and see them when they were pop stars.
Oh, PJ and Duncan.
Me and my pal Matt. They were PJ and Duncan the first time, and then they were Ant and Dec the second time. They rebranded themselves, and we went to St David's Hall to see them because I liked them.
Yeah, fair enough.
So they would do their, and it wasn't for me, of course. It was full of teenage girls, and I was younger than I am now, but I was still too old to be there.
Yeah.
Everyone had a whistle apart from me. And they were blowing it, and the toilets there was no one in them because there was no men there.
Right.
And then coming out of the toilets, there was another man who said, "Oh, the things we do for our kids." So I haven't got any children. I didn't have any children. I thought, it's a bit weird that I'm here actually, but it was. I enjoyed it. It's the only time I think it's happened where I've enjoyed something at the same level as a load of 12-year-old girls. We were all happy and dancing.
I was at a gig about a month ago, and at the end of the gig, this girl came over and chatted to me. And that doesn't happen. Like, normally they just come over and go, "Oh, you're very funny," and walk away.
Yeah.
But we were chatting away for a little bit, and out of nowhere, she dropped in the conversation that she was 18. And I was like, I need to go anywhere else right now. I am a nearly teenager, bracket age away from you, and that should be how many meters we should not be talking. Like, no context to this, and I just kept trying to make my excuse, and it was like she was being really nice and stuff, and it wasn't like, you know, weird or anything. But even thinking about it, I was like, no, there's no story there. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to. I don't mean it in a nasty way. It's just I, as a 30-year-old man now, feel a bit. No, I shouldn't be.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I wouldn't go and see PJ and Duncan now. Just
I wasn't going to get chicks.
Nor was I. I don't go to comedy to get. If I did, I would have stopped by now. Believe me, it's not a process that's ever worked for me. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you.
We'll end on that. That was Chris. As I've said before, I love anyone who scratches their own itch and makes things happen for themselves and doesn't let a little thing like hard work get in the way of it. I commend the work of GoFaster Stripe and massively endorse what they're doing. I think you should definitely go and check out their website and see what they have to offer and see what they do, because it's just really inspiring for me anyway. But I think that taking time out of their lives when they've got busy work schedules and families and a day job and all that kind of stuff to make something happen that they want to exist is exactly what most performers do in any capacity. So we should definitely be taking note of what they're doing, and we should definitely be watching what they're doing more closely. So please do check out their website and do tweet them to say thank you if you have enjoyed this episode. Also, if you have enjoyed this episode, please do consider checking out episode 82 with Dan Berg from Next Up Comedy. They're a similar outfit to GoFaster, except the fact that GoFaster, you download the file so you can like put it on all your devices and whatever. Whereas if you are Next Up, you stream it off their website. So you can download it and have it offline, but largely people stream it. If you want to learn more about online content, that'd be a great one to go with as well. I'm also trying to get someone on from Netflix. I don't want to talk about that too much yet because I don't want them to hear this and get spooked or whatever. But please do subscribe if you would like that episode, and do tweet me if you can help me out with that, because at the moment my lead is strong, but I feel like they're going to put it off until next year. So yeah, if you can help, please do. As I said before the podcast, this month I am on tour. I am going to Cambridge, Norwich, Manchester, Bristol, Bath. I'm not going to name all the places because I'm doing a lot of dates. But if you want to check out the link in the show notes, the show is called Laughter is the Best Placebo, and I was going to say it's my best work, and it is, but having just spent a month in Edinburgh, like, watching every comedian and every performer in fact say this is my best work, this is my best show, it's starting to sound really hollow. Like if you just say something over and over and over again, it starts to lose all meaning. So I suppose I'll change it and say something like, this is the best thing that I've made and the thing I'm most proud of in my live performing career and my live writing work, to be honest with you. So if you'd like to come and watch/judge that, then please do. I would really appreciate the support and to meet more people from the podcast. So if you do come, say hi. It'd be really nice. If you can't come, please do tell someone who can, because that would really help as well. And do remember to tweet the guest/me if you've enjoyed it. I really like getting those. It's really nice, and it means that I can say thank you to you instead of having to trawl Twitter every couple of days just to check, see if there's anyone I owe a thank you to. So please do that. If you're new here, please do hit the subscribe button. If you're old here, please do consider giving us an honest review on iTunes. And either way, please do consider sharing this link to anyone you think will get some value from it, or considering giving us a donation on the website. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you all in about 15 days' time, or sooner if you come and see a show. Bye!